Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, dear leaders, great leaders, scholars, philosophers, all professionals from walks of life. Everyone who's here tonight who is joining us, we are back with a big bang. We are back. This is our first session for the year, first session of 2025. And we are so grateful and so thankful that we are back again. And our agenda is clear, it's known. Our agenda is the leadership development, leadership empowerment. We are here as leaders in leadership to encourage each other, to inspire each other, to empower each other, to correct each other, to admonish each other. Yes, yeah. And as the iron sharpens another iron, so shall leaders empower each other. We meet every Wednesday starting from today. We'll be doing that for the rest of the year, as we have done it in the previous years, meeting weekly with leaders. We are so glad that we are back, and we are so glad that we are coming back with passion, with determination, and with vigor, because we have realized that leadership is everything, and everything is leadership. Tomorrow, our president will be addressing the whole nation, which in what is called SONA. In there, whatever you'll be saying revolves around leadership. Whatever you'll be reporting and whatever the aspirations and priorities we'll putting before us, it will require good leaders to implement and to execute it. So we are here as leaders coming from all sectors, from scholars from different universities. We've got leaders from public sector, from private sector. We've got community leaders, religious leaders. We've got, as long as you're a leader, you belong here. So, so we are calling ourselves a community of leaders. So if you have never been with us before, you are in the right place, and hopefully will never be lost again, because every Wednesday at 6 p.m. you've got to be here. My name is Mazwe Majola. I'm from the Worldwide Institute of Leadership and Development. As I said, that we believe that leadership is everything, and we believe that leadership is a journey. Leadership is not a destination. That is why great leaders constantly develop themselves. I always say in this platform, if you're a leader and you are lazy, you must just forget about it. Go and tell whoever appointed you or elected you that you don't want to be a leader anymore, because you are not going to make it. I want to be honest with you. Great leaders are great readers, are great learners. They constantly develop themselves, and you're going to do that until you go to the grave. That's a cost of leadership. As soon as you assume leadership, you must know that you are going to develop yourself until you go to the grave, because there's no time where you can say you have arrived. All of us here in this platform, not a single person who has arrived. And I'm saying this with great respect and humility, but this is what leadership is all about. Because we rise and falls all the time, we learn, we do mistakes, and that's what leadership is all about. So thank you so much that we are here. We are here to learn, to unlearn, to relearn, and to co-learn with each other. So we are in a good space. May I welcome our members and our regulars, men and women who are here almost every Wednesdays. We learn a lot from each other with your inputs, with your contributions. You know that we are here because of you, we already learned a lot from here. We've got leaders from everywhere, from Africa, from overseas or globally, who join us because they've realized that we are here to learn from each other. So thank you so much to our regulars and to our members, but a special welcome to those colleagues who are joining us for the first time. If you are here for the first time, welcome, and please feel at home. This is the community of leaders. As I said, it's a safe space. We engage each other robustly. We do that with respect. And as I've said, that we've learned a lot from each other. Tonight, we have our own distinguished professor, our leader, my brother, and I've said to him, it seems like let's just stay with this tradition now, that every year when we open our year or our first session, we will be getting Professor Letlhokwa Mpedi to engage us and to inspire us. He does that very well. He did it last year, he did it the year before, and I think the other year before, we had Tingiko Maluleka who did it. The other year before, we had Professor Chiriza Marwala, who called me and said, I'm so sorry, you know, in Japan, you're 6 o'clock in South Africa. I think in Japan it's 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. around that time. So, but he said he will be here in South Africa around May, and definitely said he would like to engage us. He knows this platform, he respects this platform, he loves this platform. So we are trying to get a date with him somewhere in May when he's here in the country. But tonight, as I've said, we've got my brother who has been opening this session for us in the past few years. And then we've got him again tonight. Now you may wonder, why do we keep on calling him or asking to come? Just wait and listen in this platform and obviously engage him a lot. So we've got my brother, my professor, my leader, Professor Letlhokwa Mpedi, who's the Vice Chancellor and Principal of UJ, as it famously known, the University of Johannesburg, one of the biggest and largest university, not only in South Africa, but in Africa. He has done very well since he started there. And I was checking the numbers of the new students that are admitted to universities. If you want to check and you want to recheck and recheck again, you'll notice that UJ it's got the largest number of first years that they are admitting this year. So that's how this institution is so important and it's so great. No wonder at some stage, I think it was #1, Professor Mpedi. So we are great. We are so glad that we've got the best of the best, our distinguished, the most illustrious Professor Mpedi, and then he'll be taking us through. And those who were here last year, always like to give us these leadership lessons from which I like it, because I think last year we were discussing some animals, and we got some leadership lessons from certain animals. Yes. And then this time around is going to take us through in the striking balance and the leadership lessons from the, I don't know, Professor Mpedi, the Dojo or Dojo, but you let us know. I don't know, it has to do with arts or karate or something. Or something else, but you will explain to us. So that is the lesson, leadership lessons that we'll be getting tonight. Just to show that really you can get leadership lessons from everywhere.
Everywhere.
And that's why it's so important to be a leader. Let me not waste any time, my professor. I always say people who attend these sessions, I respect and admire them a lot, because of so many senior people here. People really, as I'm saying that, even myself, I always wonder how come they attend this session, but obviously it's because they see value. My professor, would like to give it to you so that you can get more time to address us. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Prof.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother, Prof. Machola, for this opportunity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank you for setting time aside to come and spend time with us. It's always a pleasure to be part of this platform. As my brother has indicated, this is my third visit. This is addictive, Prof. Machola, I'm telling you. And because you give us space as leaders to share ideas, as wild as they may be. I mean, my first visit, I talked about leadership lessons from African saints. And then last year I talked about, and by the way, I ended up writing a book, on that, which was inspired by this talk. I felt motivated after this. And the book is available at Exclusive Books. And I'm not advertising, but if you want to buy it, the proceeds, the royalties go into a bursary fund for academically deserving students. And last year, we talked about leadership lessons from the animal kingdom. And today, yes, as Prof has indicated, I'm taking a different path where I'll be talking about striking balance, leadership lessons from the dojo. Now, we'll come back to this, but I need to say something that Prof has said. Inspiration, colleagues, is everywhere. It's like the word nowhere. If you space it, it can be nowhere or it can be now here. So my aim with these topics is to say to us as leaders that we can find inspiration everywhere to keep us going. There's nothing as boring, there's nothing as annoying as an uninspiring leader. That can inspire the teams. So you can find your inspiration anywhere, get it, and let it inspire you. So today, let's talk about striking balance leadership lessons from the dojo. Many of you may know that I grew up, at a village in the Hammanskraal area. And some of you may say, where is Hammanskraal? Well, Hammanskraal is north of Pretoria, or Tshwane, as it is known. So growing up at my village, and I know it doesn't suit me. I'm sure many of you look at me now and they will say, no, it's not telling the truth. The truth of the matter is that I used to be involved in unnecessary fights. I'm the eldest son of 5, siblings. My parents had 5 kids. I'm the child in the middle, and I was the oldest son. I had 2 older sisters. So I had no older brothers to go to if people bullied me. So I fought with whoever challenged me. And I didn't care whether they were bigger than me, they were taller than me. I couldn't care less. My aim was to fight and to say I stood my ground. And as you can imagine, I lost almost all the fights I was involved in. And another important point, it don't suit me now, but I was a dirty fighter, Prof. Macho. If I grab a rock, you better run. That is how it was growing up, So things changed, ladies and gentlemen, when I came across a karate style called Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karate. As I say, as I often say, my life took a dramatic turn from that dirty street fighter into a disciplined karateka. So I came across Kyokushin Kaikan Karate, and I had the privilege to be trained by Advocate Stevens Ramafu. And he promised me that he will be on this call. If you're on this call, Senpai, I say, oh, this may seem an unlikely tale, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, a young boy in a South African village during the throes of apartheid, learning karate, a Japanese style of karate know-how. But colleagues, this experience has informed much of my leadership journey. As I said at the beginning, inspiration is everywhere. I am no longer practicing karateka, but what I've learned really is it influenced a lot of things that I do, especially in my leadership style. The author, ladies and gentlemen, Melody Beattie once said, open quote, in martial arts, every time you graduate, move to another level, you don't forget everything you have done. You build on it, but it's always there, close quote. As leaders, you cannot forget what you have learned. You need to build, you need to grow. Everything you learn, every information you get, build on it. If you take 2 steps forward and discard whatever you learned, you will always regress. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is this Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karate? Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karate is a full contact style of martial arts founded by Masutatsu, often called Mas Oyama in Japan. It is regarded as one of the toughest styles of karate in the world. Now, in the hours I spent with Ramafuku a week, I was trained to be tough as nails in every possible way. We were trained to be fighting machines that could give and take blows without bowing out of a tough or light kumite, as we call it, sparring, and much better a kenka, fight. That said, ladies and gentlemen, it may seem ironic that some of the most impactful things I learned in karate was self-discipline and restraint. Yes, you are trained to be tough as nails, but then you also learn to be self-discipline. You learn restraint, ladies and gentlemen. And this is also important in leadership. A leader that is ill-disciplined, that cannot practice restraint, is bound to fail. Colleagues, we were trained to fully appreciate the fact that the martial arts skills we possessed came with great responsibility. We had to exercise self-control to really master the art of this style of karate. I mean, in leadership, if you cannot exercise self-control, how can you expect to control other people? Of course, leadership is not just about control, but there are systems, there are situations that you need to manage, and so on. Self-control is important. Now, colleagues, a true Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama karateka, or a practitioner of karate, avoids unnecessary conflict at all costs. Now remember, from that dirty street fighter to a Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama karateka that avoids unnecessary conflict at all costs, that was a huge transformation for me. Ladies and gentlemen, in my years under Ramafuku, I underwent a significant transformation. I evolved from a reckless street fighter who didn't hesitate to throw objects at opponents to a disciplined karateka. My newfound discipline led me to serve as the dojo secretary. Now, a dojo, Prof. Majola, is a space such as a room or hall designated for the practice of karate. I remember urging our instructor to remove 2 members of our dojo, from being members of our dojo for picking fights with villagers. Now, this karatekas, what they used to do, Prof. Majola and colleagues, they used to go and beat up villagers at weddings, and I didn't like that as the secretary. So I went to Senpai Ramafuku and I said, we need to kick these guys out of the dojo because they bring, our karate, our Kyokushin karate dojo into disrepute. And Ramafuku vehemently disagreed, believing that these unruly karatekas just required guidance within the dojo. I mean, he said, look, I hear you, but if we kick them out, these guys, nobody's going to train them to keep them under control. They are safer here in the dojo where they can be guided. Of course, I didn't agree with this, at that time, I mean, but as an adult and a leader now, I recognize the wisdom in Ramafuku's decision. This act was mentorship for those members and indeed for me in practice. Now, as leaders, how often are we quick to kick people out, without even thinking that maybe the safest decision is to keep the people within and guide them and mold them? That is the question. Colleagues, the founder of Shotokan Karate Do, Gishin Funakoshi, once said, open quote, when you look at life, think in terms of karate. But remember that karate is not only karate, it is life. close quote. As a young man practicing karate, I very much equated the tenets of karate with life, ladies and gentlemen. It is a philosophy I still remind myself of now. It was through Ramafuku that I learned many leadership lessons that were embedded in the practice of karate. Now, colleagues, Kyokushin karate is based on a number of principles, including the Dojo oath, which refers to a set of principles that include training the body and heart for an unshakable spirit, pursuing the true meaning of the martial way, and cultivating a spirit of self-denial, modesty, ambition, and serenity, or the concept of keeping your head low, eyes high, and mouth shut, respecting your superiors, and observe the rules of courtesy, the discipline of practicing all of your knowledge and not comparing yourself to others, perseverance and having the strength to surpass obstacles without changing your mind. And finally, the true spirit of karateka comes from applying karate in real life. Now, I need to repeat this, my dear colleagues. Please allow me to repeat this. Cultivating a spirit of self-denial, modesty, ambition, and serenity, or the concept of keeping your head low, eyes high, and mouth shut. You know, as somebody who studied law, there's a series that I like on television on Netflix, and I'm not advertising Netflix. It's called The Lincoln Lawyer. I'm sure some of you watched this series. This guy in his practice has got a fish with a hook on the wall, and there are words written underneath. I wouldn't be here only if I kept my mouth shut. How often do we as leaders, keep our mouth shut? Just listen. Do we keep our eyes high? Of course, you always have to look forward at the prize, what needs to be done. But do we keep our head low? No. Often as leaders, when we enter a room, we want to be seen that I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm in charge. I'm the lady, I'm boss lady. And that is where things go wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Respecting your superiors. I always tell colleagues that we all have our superiors. Sometimes, especially environments where there is performance contracting, it's a difficult time and people think, oh, my boss, that boss or that leader, that head of department has got another leader, who has another leader, that has another leader. It's how life is. So respecting your superiors and observing the rules of courtesy is important in leadership. We can differ, but differ with respect. Being courteous is not weakness. How many people suffer because they do not stop comparing themselves with others? Whoa, he's got new shoes. Oh, she's got new dress, and so on. In karate, this is something that is frowned upon, comparing yourself with others. I remember at our dojo, we had this tall gentleman who was so flexible called Chepis. Not everybody was Chepis. We call him Chepis because he could stretch. If you were sparring with him, you better keep your eyes open at all times because he would lift his leg up high and then you close your eyes. When you open them, he will smack you with his foot, almost like he's clapping you using hands, But we never all aspire to be like Chepis because that is how Chepis was built, But we all trained hard. So we were trained in appreciating the importance of not comparing yourself with others. Perseverance and having the strength to surpass obstacles. How many times do people give up easily? People encounter one obstacle, then they complain, life is unfair, and all those things. So these are the things that we learned in karate. Now, colleagues, indeed, as Mas Oyama's words remind us, open quote, a man who understands decorum and the courtesies is a great treasure. I hope to train and send into society as many such men as I can, close quote. Mas Oyama founded this style of karate, trained very hard, trained many men. And this style started in Japan. It spread all over the world. Now, how many of us as leaders do we say, I work hard, I want to leave a legacy, and say, I want to develop as many people that would go out there and make sure that this organization continues long after I have left the building. Today, many leaders aspire to have a situation where after they've left, things should collapse, and then people can say, since this one left, nothing ever worked. This is not in line with our Kyokushin style. It's all about empowering others to go out there and make a difference. Now, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of this address, I will go into greater detail about the lessons I've learned from these principles. As I spent years honing my skills of karate, I learned a great deal about discipline, as you have already heard. Ladies and gentlemen, karate places a strong emphasis on discipline as a fundamental aspect of training. It provides a structured environment and a set of principles and practices that foster discipline. Karate training, ladies and gentlemen, begins and ends with a series of rituals and etiquette, such as bowing to the instructor and fellow students. These practices, ladies and gentlemen, instill a sense of respect for oneself, the instructors, and fellow practitioners. You can apply this in real life. You have to respect yourself, There's no leader that is worth his salt, will deserve the respect of other people if that leader doesn't respect himself. Leaders get drunk at year-end functions and then fall all over the place. That is not self-respect. Leaders dress, pajamas going to work, into meetings, Nobody's going to respect such a leader. And I can go on and on with these issues. So you also respect your instructors and fellow karate practitioners. If you don't respect your team, you don't respect your superiors, you don't respect your fellow colleagues, you won't succeed as a leader. Forget it, I'll tell you this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, respect for authority and others is a core component of discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, karate dojos often have a code of conduct that outlines expectations for behavior and attitude with a focus on values like perseverance, self-control, and humility. I'll tell you, when we used to train, we used to, you hear karatekas shout all the time, colleagues. I don't know if you had karatekas train, Karatekas, you'll hear us. I don't know if you had ish, yeah. You respond to your instructor to say, I hear you, I'm with you. And you will be pushed at times to the point where you feel, oh hell, I can't go further. And my karate style, they would say, Otokan, which is a karate student, they would say, a Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karateka enjoys the pain. Spirit. That's why up to now in this talk, I don't know how many times I've said spirit. This is what they would say, spirit Otoka. And these things, when you encounter obstacles, sometimes I look at these guys and I'm like, I'm a true Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karateka. I enjoy the pain. You can never break me. And I think that helped me, Prof, during the height of load shedding, I hope it doesn't come back. Sometimes, you have to take a cold shower. And I would stand there in front of the shower and I'm like, hell, I have to do this. Then I stand there and my chest, puffed up, and I'd say, Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karateka enjoys the pain. And I step in and open the shower and shower. It feels like the nicest shower I've ever had. It's all in here. It's all in the head. And that is what we were trained, that look, when you get an obstacle, you don't run away, you figure it out. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I indicated, self-control and humility are core to the practice of karate. This is the style of karate that I practiced. Now, practitioners are expected to adhere to these principles. Reinforcing discipline in their actions and interactions is important. Karate training follows a structured curriculum, ladies and gentlemen, with a progressive system of belts or ranks. Advancing through the ranks requires dedication, consistent effort, and discipline. Now, the techniques learned must be executed with precision. You've got the kata, where you go in unison forward and turns and so on, kick and so on. And students must pay attention to details like body alignment, timing, and breathing. Extremely important, breathing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, through focused practice, students learn to control their minds and develop concentration skills, which are essential components of discipline. Now, I'm sure many of you will identify with a situation in your lives where your leader calls you, you go there, you are looking at the leader, waiting to hear what you've been called for, and the leader will be busy playing on the phone. That is ill discipline, Concentration is important. Respect is important. Respect your team, they will respect you. And this is how it is, So, ladies and gentlemen, through the practice of karate with Ramafuku, I learned about gaining mastery over my physical and mental faculties. It was in his dojo that I found ways to manage my emotions, impulses, and reactions during training and sparring and by virtue in life. Of course, I'm not perfect. You can never arrive, as Prof. Majola indicated earlier, but I keep on trying to be a better self of myself. I don't compete with others, I compete with myself. I want to be a better version of myself that I was yesterday and keep on growing. So by practicing self-control, I was able to develop discipline in managing both my behavior and responses in various situations. These are tenets that I have carefully applied to my leadership approach. Colleagues, I'll tell you, people will provoke as a leader. People with nothing to lose, they will provoke you as a leader. Just start some unnecessary gossip about you. If you have no self-control, you'll chase after every person that is trying to derail you. Self-control, self-mastery, extremely important. Colleagues, there are three interlinked concepts: perseverance, trying, and not giving up. As they say the word triumph starts with try and oomph. They say what, colleagues? Triumph starts with try and oomph. That is something that we need to always keep at the back of our minds. Perseverance, trying, and not giving up. In the words of Mas Oyama, open quote, Mas Oyama said, I realized that perseverance and step-by-step progress are the only ways to reach a goal along a chosen path. Colleagues, let me repeat this. I realized that perseverance and step-by-step progress are the only ways to reach a goal along a chosen path. How many people want to start at the top? You cannot be born a vice chancellor. Step by step, through all sorts of difficulties, then you'll get to the top. People want to start at the top. They don't want to pay their dues. Such leaders are bound to fail. These are the leaders that destroy organizations, and we don't need such leaders. A leader must pay his dues. No shortcuts to the top. One must learn, must work hard, step by step, and all of this will become part of will become part of one's growth. Now, let me talk again about perseverance, colleagues. Perseverance reminds us to keep trying. This is what it is all about. Perseverance reminds us, keep on trying. Be like Johnny Walker. Keep on walking. Now, I'm not advertising Johnny Walker. I don't drink alcohol, but keep on. People say, I'm persevering. But you ask, what are you doing while you are persevering? Nothing. Hey, my day will come. But nothing is being done. Leaders like that have no business in leadership. Keep on walking. Continue applying yourself. Keep trying. Now, Mas Oyama's logic tells us, ladies and gentlemen, that one must try every day to expand one's limits. This leads to the notion of not giving up. Mas Oyama says, if you do not overcome your tendency to give up easily, your life leads to nothing. Let me repeat this. If you do not overcome your tendency to give up easily, your life leads to nothing. How often do we realize that, hell, I was close to my blessings. If I gave up, I would have lost. Of course, we are human beings. You get to a point you say, to hell with this. But often when you say that, it's when you are close to your blessing. Please take this with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a quote by Mas Oyama, who said, if you do not overcome your tendency to give up easily, your life leads to nothing. In a leadership setting, dear colleagues, there is an understanding that challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but their response to adversity defines their success. I'm reminded of the quote by Thomas Edison. He said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This is the very lens that leaders should view any setbacks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in this context, leaders have to stay committed to a vision in order to inspire confidence and resilience in their teams. A karateka does not achieve mastery overnight. If I could tell you, colleagues, when I started training karate, I didn't even have proper karate clothes. I remember I had this yellow tracksuit that one of my home girls lent it to me to train with. I couldn't finish the first session. After a few minutes, I felt so dizzy. The senpai, I'm sure he's on this call, he had to carry me and make me lie on the floor for a few minutes. But when I regained, my strength, I stood up. I said, I want to see this thing through. And then when I got my gi, the karate clothes, that thing is almost like it encouraged me to train even harder. So you do not, start mastering everything. It takes years of dedication and an unwavering commitment to improvement. Let's say you step into a role, you will not know anything. It will take time, to master. And holistically as the leader, certain things, it will take time for you to master, but keep on pushing. So this applies to leadership, things take time, but you cannot say, oh, it takes time and do nothing. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, perseverance and trying also reflects a leader's willingness to take initiative and explore solutions. Leaders thus set the tone for their employees by encouraging innovation and effort. Effort, ladies and gentlemen, perseverance, effort. Finally, leaders who refuse to quit cultivate a culture of grit and problem solving within their organizations. Leaders who refuse to quit cultivate a culture of grit and problem solving within their organization. As Mas Oyama wisely said, if you have confidence in your words, aspirations, thoughts, and actions, and do your very best, you will have no need to regret the outcome of what you do. I repeat, if you have confidence in your words, aspirations, thoughts, and actions, and do your very best, you will have no need to regret the outcome of what you do. Colleagues, in karate, this means putting your heart into every kata and technique. It is the knowledge that your best effort will lead to growth regardless of the immediate outcome. The same applies to leadership. If you act with integrity, something that is in short supply these days, the results will reflect your dedication. A true karateka, like a great leader, walks the path of karate and leadership with confidence, knowing that if they give their best in every sense of the word, then there will be no room for regret. Rivalry, of course, is inevitable. But as Mas Oyama teaches us, no matter how strong the rival, the just will always win. Leaders, colleagues, I want to repeat this. No matter how strong the rival might be, the just will win. I'm sure many of you are going through difficult times. It's part of leadership. Every day, there is someone who wants to take your job. Every day there is someone who thinks they can do a better job than you. Even people who have no qualifications, no experience whatsoever, they are so opinionated. No matter how hard you work, people will always say, hey, we don't understand what Mpedi is doing there. People who never managed even a spaza shop, not that managing a spaza shop is nothing. I mean, let alone a university with 55,000 students and 8,000 staff. But you have to keep on working. And at the end of the day, people can set traps, people can badmouth you or your organization, stay the course. Don't be distracted by this noise. If you apply yourself, persevere, and continue to inspire your teams. The takeaway from this is that true victory, ladies and gentlemen, is not achieved through brute strength alone, but through integrity, discipline, and respect. True victory is not achieved through brute strength alone, but through integrity, discipline, and respect. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, karate begins and ends with courtesy, because every interaction must be genuine, because respect forms the foundation of both combat and leadership. Respect and courtesy must guide this journey. As Mas Oyama also teaches us, that path of martial arts begins and ends with courtesy. So be genuine on every occasion. So it applies also to leadership. We have to be genuine in every occasion. Every action we take must reflect respect for ourselves and for our teams. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, success also demands risks. Mas Oyama reminds us that each of us has his cowardice, but true failure lies in refusing to face our fears. You cannot sit there at the top office being afraid, to fail, Being afraid of the unknown. Of course, you have to take calculated risks. You cannot be reckless. But you have to manage this. You have to take risks, calculated risks. Hanging back, ladies and gentlemen, ensures a life of regret, while stepping forward with courage leads to growth. However, the pursuit of success must never be tainted by greed and egoism, and these characteristics, ladies and gentlemen, lead to the downfall of karatekas and leaders alike. Greed, egos. People want to take everything, I'm in charge. I'm the boss, I'm the man. I must eat alone. Me and my cronies must eat. Ego. Leaders, as leaders, we must manage that. Please remember this. Hanging back ensures a life of regret, while stepping forward with courage leads to growth. However, the pursuit of success must never be tainted by greed and egoism, as these characteristics lead to the downfall of karatekas and leaders alike. Those who seek only personal gain lose sight of the greater purpose. Whether in the dojo or in leadership, we must continually check our motives and act with honor. Honor, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have got people who call themselves leaders. They don't think twice before they start lies. And some lie even on, in official documents. On social media, there is this thing that is social media. Social media is like fire, ladies and gentlemen. If you use it properly, you can cook and have a feast, But if you abuse it as a leader, it will bring you down. There are many leaders now that, are saying in my time when I was a leader, or only if I kept my fingers away from that keyboard. Please let us look at it. Let's act with honor as leaders. There will be people who will say you are not as honorable as you pretend, but deep inside, if you know, the truth always comes out. So please keep that in mind. Now, ladies and gentlemen, ultimately, these traits, that I've just explained now, lead to success and triumph. Mas Oyama tells us that human beings are capable of virtual limitless degradation. They are also capable of virtually limitless improvement and achievement. Success depends on goals and on diligence in pursuing them. Ladies and gentlemen, success is built through consistent effort and making intentional decisions. These are key lessons taught in the practice of karate. Every small improvement. You know, I like what my Ghanaian friends say, little by little. Every small improvement, from perfecting a stance to executing a precise strike, is a step towards success. Similarly, we are taught that you can never arrive. Prof. Majola, earlier you talked about the fact that you can never arrive. That is what we're also taught in karate, and this is important for leadership. We are taught that you can never arrive because there are always greater heights. Mas Oyama says, behind each triumph are new peaks to be conquered. It is an exercise in egoism to think that you have reached the peak already. Karate teaches us that success and triumph are not destinations, but continuous journeys of improvement that require commitment and effort. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this pursuit, we must be mindful of our aspirations. Aspirations give direction to our training and remind us why we endure challenges and refine our techniques. This is applicable to the journey of leadership too. To return to the powerful lessons from Mas Oyama, aspirations must be pure and free of selfishness, arising from the depths of the soul. Aspirations are spiritual demands penetrating all human life and making it possible for a person to die for their sake. A person without aspirations is like a ship without a rudder or a horse without a bridle. Aspirations give consistent order in life. Now, this is important. Aspirations, ladies and gentlemen, give consistent order in life. Now, when people talk about aspirations, they think it's only for themselves. Yes, as leaders, we should have aspirations. But you must have aspirations for your teams. Did you ever have a leader sitting down with you say, look, what I want for you is for you to grow and be the best that we know you can be. How can I support you? I benefited from that. My predecessor sat down with me and said, I want you to go overseas and hone your leadership skills. This is something that is rare today. But through working together, we can spread the gospel. We grow by growing others. We need to have aspirations for ourselves. We need to have aspirations for our organizations. We need to have aspirations for our colleagues. We need to have aspirations for our loved ones. We need to have aspirations for our society. We need to have aspirations for our country, our continent, and the world, ladies and gentlemen. So this means we should not be selfish leaders. And it starts with us, my dear colleagues. I'm almost done. So ladies and gentlemen, without this mindful approach to karate and leadership, we risk chasing success for its own sake rather than embracing the lessons and growth that these journeys offer. This requires true courage. Mas Oyama tells us, true courage is born only when it is accompanied by justice. A karateka, ladies and gentlemen, does not fight for ego or dominance, but rather for discipline and protection. Similarly, a true leader does not seek power for personal gain, but always leads with integrity and fairness. Courage in karate means stepping into the dojo despite fear in order to push past our limits. In leadership, it means making difficult decisions and leading with honesty, even when it is difficult. With that, I bow to you all with respect and say, Os arigato gozaimasu. Ladies and gentlemen, this is respect and traditional way to express deep gratitude, often used at the end of a training session. It reflects both respect and the spirit of perseverance central to the martial arts philosophy in Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karate. In leadership, just as in karate, success is not achieved alone, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this is what you have taken away from this with a deep sense of appreciation for our journeys and for each other. Please also allow me to say to my senpai, I'm sure you are on this call, Advocate Stevens Ramafuku, Os senpai, and thank you very much. Thanks, Prof. Thanks, colleagues.
Wow, wow, my professor, I'm speechless. I'm still trying to breathe. I don't know what is happening. Wow, 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 wow. You see how we started the year, and then now I told you that you will realize why we keep on asking him to come back and start the year with us. Thank you so much, my professor. I'm not going to waste any time because, as I said, I've got people I respect a lot here. They come to engage you, to ask questions. Can I ask my professor, Professor Mdluli, just a few words of response, and then we'll ask colleagues who want to ask some questions, and then to engage the professor. So those who are here for the first time, everyone and anyone can speak. We can do that by raising your hand, which is mostly appreciated and recommended, but also you can do that via the chat room. So you can, yeah, feel at home, feel at home. This man is a very busy man. He's a very busy person. Don't take it for granted that he's with us tonight. He's got so much, as I said, that he's really running a very big institution. So please do engage him. But wow, from my side for now, I just want to say, wow. If I knew any current word, I don't know, should I say, oopsie? I'll let it, I'll let my professor. Professor Mdluli, a few words, and then we will give it to our colleagues. Over to you, my professor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Yes. What a wow. What a way to start the year. And thank you very much. I think we were listening to lessons from the University of Life. It was just lessons from the University of Life. And we appreciate so much. What we are taking home from this is that wherever you are, take it as an opportunity to learn, because there are lessons, valuable lessons for life. The principles that we have learned, the rituals that we have learned. I feel like joining karate myself immediately tomorrow. The muscles and the bones may speak at that, but what we are picking from this is that all the time, take your head, take your heart, wherever where you go, be willing to learn and take those lessons. Don't just do it for survival, but realize that that has impact on you, that has impact on other people, and you can use that to impact other people. Very quickly, you know, when they took us through the importance of sacrificing, that every sacrifice demands a risk. It's a simple principle: no sacrifice, no success, but also the caution for every risk, calculate the risk and be able to take it. The aspiration, it put everything in context to say aspirations must be pure and must be free from selfishness. And it makes me to add another principle when he talked about the not the selfishness. I would love to say, when I changes into we, even illness becomes wellness. It changes. And illness, you change the I, you put we, illness becomes wellness. Let us be consistent. Let's go out there. The lessons of courage, we say from this presentation of today, do it even if you are afraid, because you have an audience. The first audience is yourself. The second audience is the community. The third audience is the nation. And let's add there, Prof, the fourth audience is the next generation. I think all that we're learning today is whatever that we are doing, we are owing to the next generation. Let's not go with the lessons. Let's go, colleagues, all of us today, and document whatever that we have learned. What you learned in the bushes when you were looking after the cattle and the goats, go back there, document it. It has value, it has meaning. These are lessons from the University of Life, and we appreciate it. What a way of starting the year. Prof, you have set the standard so high. We cannot dare drop it. Let's keep moving up and up. It's too overcrowded down there. Let's keep moving up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, my professor. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you can engage the professor now, Professor Mpedi. As I said, you can do that by raising your hand, and then I will acknowledge you. Anyone, even if it's your first time in this platform, you are a leader. This is the community of leaders. Let's do this as quick as possible because, as I always say, we are online, so we don't have a lot of time. And there are those who will always want to raise hands towards the end when we are about to finish or when we are about to close. I always encourage that. Let's do it while we still have a time on it. So you can just raise your hand and then you can ask. Prof. Mpedi, as I said earlier on, I really agree with Professor Mdluli that you have made karate fashionable. You know, some of us who was never involved in that sport. You've made it, you know, so interesting, and I hope, like as you said, you came here, you addressed us 2 years ago, and then you went and wrote a book from what you said in this platform, and I hope that, I know you're a very busy person, but time willing, that maybe you will also publish a book on this one, because this is powerful. This is so insightful. This is so good. I saw one of our members there. I think it's Nkosana Keleni, who said he was also a member of karate. Nkosana, would like to share something there? I saw in the chat room saying you were also, you're also a member there in this beautiful sport that some of us who don't know it. Any thoughts there, Nkosana?
Thank you so much. Good evening, Prof. Majola, and good evening to our guest, Prof. Mpedi, and good evening to everyone. Thank you so much, Prof. Mpedi. Wow. That was powerful. Prof. Majola, I just want to say I also practice Kyokushinkai. It was my style. And Prof. Mpedi, as formative years, are very similar to mine. I also grew up in the township and in a very rough environment or background. And I also do a street fight as well, like he explained. And when I joined karate, it was so difficult. And once they see you fighting on the street and using karate, they will punish you. You will be reported and you'll be punished for using karate because it was for self-defense only. So you need self-control and you need discipline. And that's what I was taught. And it really shaped my life. Because in life, when you go through difficult times, those days that you were in karate, they shaped you to be strong, to be able to persevere the difficulties and the tribulations of life. So, and was quite good, by the way. And what he explained, the kick that he explained was my favorite. It was called Mawashi Geri, was my favorite kick. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing the nuggets with us, Prof. Mpedi. I am so inspired. Thank you. Keep well.
Thank you, Nkosana. Thank you. If you can just take another one, Prof. Mpedi, then we'll respond. I see a hand there from my sister, Dr. Tandiwe Gama. Over to you, Doc.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening. Wow, Prof. Mpedi, I'm at loss of words. Thank you for such an inspiration, the beginning of the year. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I just put on the chat here that you may never know, Prof. You have just fired me up on something that I was almost at the point of walking away from. And I think listening to your empowering, igniteful sort of presentation, I have to reverse that decision. And thank you, and thank you, Prof. Majola, for timing this so beautifully at the beginning of the year, because I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of others on the platform, that we walk away with a sense of looking forward to the year, with a sense of wanting to do better, with a sense of, like you said, competing with ourselves, not to be the same people we were in 2024. I certainly will follow up on what I almost walked away from. Thank you, Prof. Unfortunately, I have to follow up. I have another meeting coming, but thank you so much, colleagues. Bye-bye. And by the way, I am a UJ alumni, Prof. Mpedi, you should know.
You must come home. We are celebrating 20 years this year, so we're going to have a big party. Please join us.
Wow, wow, I will. If I can have the invite, definitely, I'm coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Doc. Thank you very much. Prof. Mpedi, maybe you may like to respond to those, and then we'll take another round of questions. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes, no, thank you very much. I'm so happy to meet another fellow Kyokushin, Kaikama, or Kaikano Yama Karateka, because that, even if you are no longer practicing, deep inside, how you do things, even how you walk, because you feel it, and that discipline, is something you keep with, and you live with. And I'm glad that at least there's somebody to validate what I was saying. Thank you so much, Dr. Gama. I'll say to you, whatever you were thinking of walking away from, go back to it, keep on going. As they say, often when you are close to your blessings is when you want to give up. I remember in my career, there were times when people wanted to break me, and there were times when I felt like leaving or doing other things. But I stayed the course. At some point, one of the chief persons who were trying to break me said to me, "We know there were other people offering you jobs. Why didn't you go?" I almost said, hell no, why was I supposed to go? But then I jokingly said, you know what? It was in a formal setup. I said, my wife always tells me I'm too loyal. And I smile, I laugh. I'm like, you thought you would break a Kyokushin. So be a Kyokushin Kaikan in spirit, just say the Kyokushin Kaikan Oyama Karateka enjoys the pain. They'll just see you moving on, smiling all the way. Thank you so much.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my professor. Coming back to the leadership lessons that you gave us, Professor, very, very insightful. As we've said, many of us, that is very, very important in terms of how do you balance, obviously, tonight just talking about striking balance, balancing humility. As you said, you're a leader, you're balancing humility, but also you've got to be assertive, humility and assertiveness, so that I don't know, should I use the word meek, that you are an assertive, humble leader. To strike that balance of it.
No, Prof. You see, I would like to believe I'm a humble man, and one thing that I've come to realize is that when you're humble, people think you're stupid. So they confuse humility with stupidity. Now, I say you balance this by, of course, as they say, not demanding respect, but by refusing being disrespected. If people, come and disrespect you, one should not allow that. You don't need to be aggressive, but one can still say, I will not allow this. And I had such cases where the person would just come and make some stupid comments, I remember one young leader coming to my table at a function saying, "Oh, you love food." I addressed it there and then. That, look, you are not going to speak to me like that. I'm not your friend. I'm not your age group. So one must always ensure that, even if one can demand respect, but one refuses, to be disrespected. This is how I would balance this. Yeah.
Yes, and you've touched something very important there, how how to be bold without being rude. I mean,
Yeah.
really, that you can still be strong,
Yeah.
still be courageous, with respect. And I think many us as leaders, we find it difficult to strike that balance. You think that in order for you to be a good leader or a manager, you must be feared. When you
Yeah.
enter the room, everyone
Yeah.
must, going around. When you want results, people must just run around to
Yeah.
that. How that is possible to drive results with respect while we are building a relationship, Prof.
Look, at the end of the day, one has to be sincere, and as they say, play the ball, not the man. You'd hear people say, he is a tough leader or she's a tough leader, but she's fair. Sometimes people or people we lead are not interested in decisions being taken in their favor, but they are interested in being taken fairly. If there is a matter on your desk, read it, go through it, apply your mind, and give feedback. Even if it's not positive feedback, but give feedback. At the end of the day, people would like to be treated fairly. That is how you manage this thing. Address the issue, not the person. Because people personalize everything. They dehumanize people. They scream all the time. I can't stand a leader that screams at people. People throw things around. Treat your subordinates, your peers as human beings, People throw things at people instead of asking properly. You can be firm without being rude. And now people think being rude is a sign of being powerful, screaming, dehumanizing people, making people feel little. And that is not what it is. You can correct behavior and get the results, by identifying behavior that is wrong and so on, without really destroying people, because we can destroy people as leaders if we don't manage the powers that we have. It's like those karate abilities, If you don't manage them properly, you can go around breaking people's legs and all those things, and which is not what karate is all about. One abuses power. This is not what leadership is all about. I hope I've answered you, Prof.
100%, Prof. Definitely. Thanks, my brother. I see Professor Chiomede says, I'm sorry, my connection dropped as we thought. Oh, sorry, Prof. But she said, I'm encouraged to keep delivering top-notch quality in leadership despite the challenges I encounter as a woman in the midst of a male-dominated workplace. Thank you so much, great mentors and leaders. And thank you so much to you, Prof. Thank you so much there. Any thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, before we close? Anyone would like to engage the professor while he's here? I'll be asking my professor, Professor Gordon Zide, to thank the speaker, but we'll do that once everyone feels that it's okay. It seems like your address or your speech, Professor Mpedi, was one of those that is like, wow, But before we do that, I see my sister there, Dr. Nikela. Over to you, Doc. Over to you, my sister.
Thank you so much, Prof. Mazu. Thank you so much, Prof. I just wanted to touch on one issue that you mentioned, that you should not quit. And the point for me is not to just have one person targeting you. But at times it feels that it's not only the person that's directly on your face, but you could find that it's as if the organization is saying, thank you, you've done your job. And the issue for me is, how do you then keep leading and staying on course if the environment has become that, I'll use toxic. Thank you.
May I, Prof? Or do we let's take another hand?
we can take another head. I see my sister there, Nomkita Mona. Over to you, Sis Nomkita, then the Prof will respond. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Prof. And really, thank you to our guest speaker for, can you hear me well, Prof? Because I can, oh, okay, I'm getting feedback. All right, so yeah, thank you, Prof, for this talk. I mean, from the beginning that you spoke, I held on to one of the very first quotations that you gave us. It was about, it ended with keeping your mouth shut. And I do, incidentally, also like Lincoln Lawyer. I cannot wait for the third season to start. And, you know, so, but now I found myself thinking, I mean, I'm listening to you, and my own analysis about you is that you are a very good communicator. You know, and leadership is also part of that. Part of leadership, rather, is to also be able to communicate. Then I found myself wondering, how do we balance what you said about keeping your mouth shut, which I understood in that context when you put it in the beginning, because you spoke about self-restraint, etc., and also being a good communicator as a leader. And I was just wondering about that balance. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. If I may, Prof. Majola, let me start with the last question by Memona. Look, keeping one's mouth shut doesn't mean one must just be a quiet leader that never says a word, even if he's in a meeting, whether the leader is there or not, you know, you don't feel it. But it's all about also listening, you know. One wise man said to me, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, you know. Leaders always want to have a final word, and it's not like keeping your mouth in the sense that you are not doing anything. It's about listening and processing what you hear as a leader. You know, I don't know if you have ever experienced interacting with another person and saying, I feel heard, that this person has listened to me. Leaders interrupt people, or let me not generalize, some leaders, because they are leaders, they interrupt people when they talk, they shut people down and so on. And as leaders, what this is all about, or the point I was making about, you know, keeping our mouths shut, is not to keep it completely shut, but is to listen more than we speak. That is how our teams will be able to say, because to share things with us. Otherwise, if we speak all the time, I mean, you start a meeting, it's only you, not you, but the leader speaking from the beginning to the end, people don't get a chance to say anything. Then they end up being discouraged. So it's from that context. Of course, communication is important. When a leader speaks, the leader must speak in such a way that he or she wants to be heard, you know. There are leaders that when they are talking, when they are quiet, it's the same. You don't even know what they're doing. It doesn't inspire people. So it's about, you know, being measured, exercising self-restraint. Sometimes you are tempted to chip in and tell people that they are talking nonsense, but you have to hear them out, you know, understand where they are coming from. Another thing is, as leaders, and it's not easy, I'm sure many of you will relate, often when we are asked a question, we're already thinking about how to answer instead of sort of processing and hearing people, you know, what they are truly saying. So that is from that context. Dr. Nikelwa, the question you posed, I hope I've answered you, Mona. Dr. Nikelwa, the point that you have made, it's really, the question I've asked is a difficult one, because at some point, in as much as you have to persevere, you need to be able at the end to say, I gave it my all. You know, not that when you start encountering this, a lot of people, they immediately go, you know, one disagreement, then they go. So you should be able at the end to say, I'm done, I gave it my all. If you can say that, you know, at the end, you know, and then you are happy with yourself that you gave it your all, you are moving on, then it's okay. The problem is when, you know, once a small challenge comes, and forget about leadership at work. Today, I'm sorry now, Prof, I'm straying now out of leadership, but, you know, leadership is everywhere, you know. We can't lead others if we can't lead ourselves. What we're seeing today with this current generation is so quick to give up. And when I say it, people think I'm crazy. I say if I had my way, I would make karate compulsory for all these young people so that when things happen, they don't give up. So I'm not addressing you, Dr. Nikelo, I'm just speaking in general. So we should not give up immediately when things, we must give it our all. And of course, when we make a decision that I gave it my all and this is where I leave it, then even when you move forward, you'll have no regrets. The problem will be if you later say, hey, but I wish I stayed a week longer or a month longer and so on, you know. And they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know if you have ever experienced this thing. People who have been told things about you, were acting rude and all that, and then coming back and say, look, we were told this and that about you, and they are wrong, we are sorry, or we have learned so much. Sometimes you know that these people are saying nonsense about you, but sometimes it's best to say, I want them, they will get to the truth. The truth always comes out. And when they are on our side, it's forever. I will stop there. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. The last round, I think my brother there is Dr. Sifuku Ramufuku, who would like to, I hope it's, I hope it's him. Over to you, Doc. And then after you will give Prof. Mpedi to respond and to give us his closing remarks. And I'll ask Professor Zide to thank the speaker, and then we close. Over to you, Senpai Ramafuku. Over to you, my brother.
This is the man that trained me.
Ah, wow.
This is my senpai.
Oh, that's it. So, Uz.
And my brother.
Wow. Thank you. So that's why I was apologizing to him because I confused him with another member of ours. Over to you, my brother. Over to you, sir.
And he can tell us if I was talking nonsense.
Over to you, sir. Over to you.
Yeah, to Professor Mpedi, my project student in karate, but not also that, one of our top students in my days as a teacher, who also inspired me to follow the legal profession and study law. We used to have arguments when he had graduated in law, and I was arguing from a common sense point of view, and he said, no, Teacher Steve, you can't argue law using common sense. Legal argument must be based on legal principles. This person that Prof. Mpedi has become now, he really inspired me. Honestly, the true reflection of what Prof. Mpedi has delivered now is that, you know, the element of discipline within him really propelled him to where he is now. It's not by chance or by luck. He worked very hard. He was dedicated. We were together through the journey. He demonstrated that he's gonna be somewhere someday. So congratulations to Prof. Mpedi once again. But it's an inspiration to all of us that when we forge ahead, we will definitely reach a particular point in our life.
It seems like we lost Ramafuku there. So sorry, but we did get a gist of what you wanted to say. Professor Mpedi, I'd like you to respond and give us your parting shots, and then Prof. Zide will come after that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much to my senpai, you know, for joining this call and also for those kind words. Let me also thank you, Prof, for always inspiring us into, you know, to become the better versions of ourselves, you know, as leaders. I would say leadership is a journey. I don't claim to know it all. Every day is a challenge. As leaders, every day will be challenged. You know, there will be people. We want people to be the best that they can be. And there would be others who don't want us to do what we do best. But we must keep on walking and be Johnny Walker. You know, we shouldn't mind all these people who tried to sabotage whatever we're doing. At the end, the truth comes out. We must stay focused and continue to learn and grow. Another important point that I would like to touch on is that we can never arrive, as Prof. Majola has indicated. We must continue to improve ourselves and try and be the best that we can be. Respect, extremely important. Perseverance, extremely important. Courtesy, and we continue, you know, to learn. Lastly, inspiration is everywhere. Find something that inspires you. There are people who talk about chess, and we may think it's difficult. And find something that you love, you know, and look at it and be inspired, because there's nothing as dangerous as an uninspiring and an uninspiring, expired leader. It doesn't work like that. Get motivation, get inspiration, and inspiration is everywhere, as I tried to demonstrate this evening. And thank you so much for joining this call. Thanks, Prof. Thanks, Prof. Ndluli. Thanks, Senpai. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, my professor. Thanks a lot. My Professor Zide, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, my professor. And may I also say, Osh Sensei Mpedi, I went as far as the blue belt in Shotokan. So I decided to quit karate. If I was still much younger, after having listened to you, I would say, well, let me go back and not quit. But I'm over the hill now, except for a few exercises which I do. Prof, let me first wish you and your family everything of the best for the year 2025. And when I say you and your family, I also mean the larger wild family, which includes everybody. And towards the end of last year, there have been, I think, 3 of our very own who obtained their PhDs. Even though we did say congratulations to them, I think it is also quite thoughtful that as we begin the year, extend our congratulations to them. But also, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Chioma Chikere recently got another PhD. And so, if I'm not mistaken, we also want to say congratulations, our dear sister. You continue making us proud. Let's come back to my sensei, Letlhokwa Mpedi. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful presentation. Very insightful, very instructive, and very, very informative indeed. You know, when I was reading the topic, and I said to myself, how do we take leadership and dojo and put them together? My mind started, going backwards and forwards. And I said, well, busy reading and getting encouragement from your book, from the baobab to the mosquito. And I say, well, it's either today I'm going to listen to the buzzing of the mosquito, because the baobab is just too big a tree. But indeed, having listened to you, I said, well, not have I been inspired by your presentation, my professor, but the book that you have written and published, I would recommend it to many of our leaders. It's a very, very thought-provoking book, which is tracing leadership from an African perspective. And so, as Professor Chioma also said, from a
Africanist point of view, I think you've covered it all. But most importantly, what I learned from the presentation, probably 3, if not 4 issues. One, the issue of persevering. I think for me that is very, very, very critical, because this is what builds a karateka. Because if you are not the one who perseveres, we would probably fall short halfway before you even go much further. And secondly, I like the point that you raised, my professor, because Professor Majola always reminds us that leadership is a journey, it's not a destination. And today, building leadership within the 4 pillars of karate, you have indeed confirmed that leadership is a journey. Bruce Lee, training other karatecas, used to say, focus. And you have covered it all, that as a leader, you have to remain focused all the times. Yes, indeed, there are going to be detractors, wanting to tear you apart, but remaining focused is the core value of leadership. And then the other point that you raised, Professor, is that in a leadership journey, there are going to be many storms, inadvertently. People would want to pull you down, but what you really need to do and say is that before you decide to quit or whatever decision you take, I have given it my all. I have given it my all. And so I think I'm not going to take it any further. Because what happens, the way I also understood your presentation, my professor, is that a moving vehicle is always backed at by the dogs, and a stationary vehicle, the dogs use it for purposes of just leaning against it and do whatever they want to do there. So as a leader, be prepared to be a moving vehicle. And yes, dogs will bark at you, but keep on moving on. And to use your famous quote, be a Johnny Walker and keep on walking. I think I got a beautiful message from there. But the final point, my professor, when you said as a leader, and I think Professor Chikere also touched on the point that you must grow up and fly with others as you rise. That is very critical. And I think that we as leaders, sometimes there are people who would pull you down as a leader. Ignore them and move on. But most importantly, even those who were your detractors, tomorrow will come back, because the truth ultimately, comes to light and say, we are very sorry. We did A, B, C, and D, but we're very sorry. But having said that, I've just learned a quote today, which says that the one who betrayed you once will betray you again. And you don't have to drink the ocean water to prove that it is salty, because it is salty. So you don't have to prove anything. And so, Professor, thank you very much for such a resounding presentation. We have grown from it, and we have also gotten a lot from it. May the good Lord of Africa bless you always and grow from strength to strength. And thank you so much. And thank you to everybody. And let us keep also in prayers our young militant African leader, Ibrahim Traore. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, my professor. Indeed, last year we had 3 of our members who became doctors, who completed their PhDs, and one of them is with us in this. I hope, yeah, because I was checking the names. I hope I don't miss anyone, but I can say our sister, Dr. Linda Peter, we congratulate her, and with others who became, who completed their PhDs. And thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Those who joined us for the first time, we meet every Wednesdays. Next week, Wednesday, we are here. Same time, same login details, same everything. We're just here as leaders to empower each other, to encourage each other, to learn from each other as it has happened tonight. Now you will understand what makes all these great leaders and scholars keep on coming here, because we always have these weekly master classes on leadership, and we have grown so much. We've grown so much with these sessions. My brother, Professor Mpedi, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. You've really inspired us. We are meeting again next week, Wednesdays, and the session is urgent now. May God bless you, and may God bless Africa. Thank you so much. Until we meet next week, Wednesday. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thanks, Prof. Thanks, colleagues. Bye-bye.